a little extra in the course of a day. When you've done your work for your clients, do something else. Do that thing for yourself. And that thing for myself got me on Howard Stern. Sometimes those 5 more minutes, they make the difference, because everything, it's not just in that moment. Everything's cumulative. I couldn't have come up with that great improvisation if I hadn't done years of improv and the moment was right and he saw it. All those things are cumulative, and it's just, can you give me 5 more minutes?
John, how are you?
Great, man. How are you?
I'm great. I'm pleased for you to be the show. Thank you very much for turning up. And this is for the guys around the Speakeasy group. So thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Oh, this is great.
But how would you explain what it is you do?
Well, I'm a comedian, actor, writer. My whole thing is I do a lot of normal comedy in clubs and things like that. But my main thing is doing corporate national sales meetings because I found out they pay better. They're in better locations, and they're just a really engaged audience. So in the mid-'90s, when I was doing stand-up, I got my first corporate job, and I was like, holy cow, I want to do this. I want to be at $3, $4, $5 million meetings. So I kind of switched everything, went to the creative directors of all these big production companies that do the meetings for, IBM and Verizon and AT&T. And I said, hey, I'm your Swiss Army knife. I do 30 characters, full makeup. I'm a writer. I'm a comedian. I do improv. I said, let me be your problem solver. If you have a concept for a meeting and it's reality TV or it's this or it's that, I said, I can do whatever characters you want. You don't have to hire 5 actors, 5 comedians, 5 impersonators. I'll do it all. And that's been my career for the last 25 years, doing these meetings all over the country, and actually probably longer. But some of my clients have held on to me. Mako Auto Body, if you know them, largest national auto body, Mexico, Canada, the US. I've hosted their meetings for 23 years. I've done the same thing for Meineke for 6 years. I've done it for other companies for multiple years. CertaPro, another. I happen to be in the franchise space, which I don't know how that happened, but I kind of grew into that space. So I learn about the company. I write the content. I make the content funny, and then I'll host the meeting as Dr. Phil. What I'll do it as Trump. I'll do the opening reception, baby, as Austin Powers, baby, yeah. We'll do the team building as Guy Fieri, and I'll do the gala award ceremony as Jay Leno. Hey, you guys doing? Good to see you. We have the whole chin and the wig. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, the makeup really does help with the illusion. I've seen it many times. But there's a lot of fame that you've gained through the Trump relationship, and you physically worked with Donald Trump. How many times have you worked with the man himself?
I've worked for him 3 times, and the thing was, I was just fascinated by Trump. I met him in 1990. I was doing a show at Trump Plaza, so I got to meet him then. And then, time went on, and in 1995 or 96, I was hired to co-host his 55th birthday, so whatever year that falls in. But I did that as Austin Powers, so I got to meet him again. Then in 2004, right at the end of the first season of The Apprentice, one of my New York agents called me and said, are you doing Trump? What were you talking about Trump? And I said, yeah, I kind of, I play around with him. I haven't, it's not fully birthed yet. He said, well, could you do an audition on Monday? This was a Friday. And I said, absolutely, I could do that. So I ran out, bought the first season of The Apprentice, which had literally just come out. My timing was just perfect. And I listened to 30 hours of Trump, took all my notes, because anytime I do any voice, I kind of break it down, each element, and went in and got it. And it turned out it was for him. So I worked for him, and it was in Atlantic City. I wasn't physically there, but it was in the Taj Mahal. They had opened the boardroom game, which was The Apprentice, but he never got the rights to The Apprentice. So it was the boardroom game, and they had a Carolyn Kepcher, if you remember the first season, and a George Ross, who I ended up meeting even later in my career. But so the whole bit was Trump was supposed to be there. He couldn't make it. And I was on the phone the entire time. Hello, blue team. Hello, green team. Carolyn and George, you're in great hands with these people. They're going to give you amazing challenges. So I sat in the studio in Princeton, New Jersey for a week and recorded all of those phrases, individual words, individual colors, and then they cut it together and they had somebody actively working each thing for every group that came in to do the boardroom game at the Taj Mahal.
No, there is no technical difficulty here, but I am jumping in to give you a PSA. If you like what you're hearing, if it's helping you, if it's benefiting you, I just want to let you know that there may be other ways that I can help you. Jump over to stevedsims.com, learn about my speakeasies, learn about my Sims distillery, my coaching, any way that can help you. But again, if it helps you, great. If not, then listen to this podcast and at minimum, action what you're doing. Anyway, I'm going to get you back to your usual showing. Enjoy the rest of the show. Bye for now. Oh, that's incredible. And you got quite a long relationship as well with Howard Stern's as well, haven't you?
Yes, I've been with him for 3 years now. I did a video that went viral on one of the platforms where Trump, it was the day that Trump found out his test results from COVID. And I just went to the extreme and I was like, you know what? These were the greatest test results. And they were the most negative. It was so negative, it was positive. It was beating up all the other test results. It was an incredible test result. And Howard saw that, played it on his show. And I'm on the West Coast. I'm here in Las Vegas where you and I met.
Yeah.
And my phone starts just going off at like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. I'm like, what is going on? And everyone's saying, Howard Stern's talking about you. Howard Stern's talking about you. Howard Stern's talking about, like, what is he talking to me about? And then someone explained he was playing my video that had gone viral. And I was like, oh my God, I've been wanting to get on Howard Stern forever. How do I leverage this opportunity? And I'm calling everyone I know in New York. And then it hit me, wait a minute, we have the same agent. Don Buckwalter represents me. What am I? Sometimes, like, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Steve, but you've traveled the world. Sometimes the answer to something is literally right in front of you, and you don't always see it. And then you just have to like calm down and go, oh, it's right here. So I called Robin Steiger, who's running Buckwalter at the time. I said, hey, could you tell Don, Howard's agent, that, you know, he represents me too. And he wrote an email and I was CC'd on that email. I went to the Stern team. And then within 2 days, they called me. Within 2 weeks, I was on. And I've been on ever since. So I feel so grateful that I took the time. Just, you know, sometimes the littlest things, that extremely negative video, that's what it's called. I could have chosen not to do that. It was at the end of a long shooting day. And I thought, you know what? I've got to put out, and it was all corporate stuff. I was like, I need to put out some content for myself. You know, with all of these platforms that you and I are doing right now, we literally have access to millions of people. I mean, this wasn't even possible 25 years ago, unless you're on broadcast or something. And sometimes, you know, for us as entrepreneurs and everything, sometimes you got to just do a little extra in the course of a day. When you've done your work for your clients, do something else. Do that thing for yourself. And that thing for myself got me on Howard Stern.
That's a beautiful, yeah. People seem to look at you, at me, at other individuals and go, oh, the grass is always green and it always comes to them. And in fact, I just got off a podcast just before this one where we were talking about prospecting and they were like, oh, you're so successful. You probably don't prospect anymore. We're always prospecting.
Always.
You know, the socials, the podcast, the books, any way we can, we're promoting. I want to actually bring up something with you. So thank you very much for telling people that they've got to keep going. And when they're tired, go a little bit further. It got you, Howard Stern.
Yes. I remember, just real quickly, I remember what some football coach, they had a very good season. And they lost their opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And I think when they took all the yardage from the entire year, it was 5 yards. It was 5 yards. And I remember, and that coach said, next year, can you give me 5 more yards? Can you just give me 5 more yards? And I always think, like, can I give myself 5 more minutes as opposed to like just this and, you know, sorry, that's I'm sure pretty good.
Oh, trust me, you're gonna, yeah.
Sometimes you just want to end the day, but sometimes those 5 more minutes, those 5 more yards, they make the difference because everything. It's not just in that moment. Everything's cumulative. I couldn't have come up with that great improvisation if I hadn't done years of improv and the moment was right and he saw it. All those things are cumulative, and it's just, can you give me 5 more minutes? You know?
The other good thing is, while you're actually giving yourself those extra 5 minutes, other people are not. So,
Correct.
you know, stand out and stand proud on there. I want to kind of ask something, because I can't help thinking that you're the perfect person for this. In today's world of communication, we all know about this thing where we've got to mirror each other.
Right.
And you've taken it beyond that. You've mirrored, you've captured, and then you've regurgitated them in you. When you're looking at those things that stand out about a person, what are you looking at? The eyes, the body language, the tone? What are the key components when you're looking to identify someone?
Yeah, I like somebody who's really, you just kind of hit it. That's, for me personally, I like somebody who's really identifiable, the physicality, it's all of those things, because I do impressions, and that's one thing. But when you're doing an impersonation, when you're investing a lot of money in a $4,000 or $5,000 wig and contacts and all of these things, it's got to be something I can totally physically encapsulate. So I like somebody who's a little bigger with more defined kind of overall, not just physical features, but who they are. Like someone like Dr. Phil, you know, he's always, his face is like a deer just got hit by a car. You know, what the hell? So and with Trump, it's all these little ticks. So those little ticks. I love all those little things that make somebody so dimensional. And I had a severe speech impediment as a child. I was in speech therapy for 8 years. So I guess the first thing I'm always drawn to is the voice, and then kind of goes out from there. But, those years of all that speech therapy was a huge help to me. It fixed the way I speak, but it gave me the mechanics and an understanding of how speech works and how we all speak, nasal placement, throat placement, vocal mask. And I like to find someone like that I can kind of sink my teeth into. And right now people are saying, are you going to be doing DeSantis? Not that I'm a political, I just love comedy, but politics are comedy now. And people are like, are you going to be doing Ron DeSantis? And I'm thinking, well, I could probably physically get him, but I'm thinking there's no hook into his voice. And I gotta find a way in. There's gotta be a way in for me to get it. Someone like Larry King, 6 wives, 7 heart attacks, golly, it's unique. Tomorrow night, Charo for the full hour. I'm always looking for that something, that's there.
Now, we spoke about social. We spoke about you always putting out content. You deal with a wide range of people. Howard Stern, Donald Trump, you deal with a wide range of people. Have you ever ended up getting backlash because of your connection, improv, whether it be, you made a joke that fans found offensive, or, they hated a certain person? Have you ever got that hatred come to you via the connection?
Almost daily. The funny thing was, years ago I did an Ozzy Osbourne video, and I put it on YouTube, and it's just comedy. I love Ozzy, but man, I was like the comments. It wasn't even they're like, you suck. It was like I'll kill you, and I was like, what is this? And when I started doing Trump, I get it from both sides. The people who are smart enough to get the humor, that it's satire, that's one thing. But I've gotten death threats. I've gotten, you name it, because people are so tribal and they're so dug in on him. So I'll get it from the Trump people who want to, eviscerate me. And then I'll get it on the other side where there's nothing funny about this. He's ruined this country. You shouldn't even be giving him any oxygen. So it's on both sides. But I love when I'll get somebody who's pro-Trump and say, I love Trump, I'm voting for him, but this is really funny. Because all this is, I don't have a political agenda. All I just want to do is make people laugh. That's all I've ever wanted to do since I was a little kid. So for me, it's just, and I didn't just start doing Trump. Like I said, I've been doing him since 2004. So for me, it's not Trump, the president. It's just this fascinating guy, this typical American success story of who he is, and how he is and the way he operates. It's just fascinating. you know.
So you were doing him before he became presidency, and
Long before.
I actually, another guest that I've got coming on my podcast very soon is Stormy Daniels. Okay, so that should be interesting.
Yes.
But I'm very keen to find out when that light bulb moment came on, of when she was able to go, oh, he's president, let's opportunize and obviously monetize this situation. When you were doing Trump and all of a sudden you heard he was running for presidency, now, of course, when you're running for presidency, you know, you got to be a little bit more careful because he's got a lot of guys around him with guns, and you don't want to disappear in some kind of desert or something.
Right.
But did you suddenly start going, this is going to be great for me? Or did you go, oh my God, I can't be doing it now that he's going to be a president? What was your mindset when you heard it was coming?
Well, like I said, I've been following him for a very long time. So what most people don't know is that was his third attempt. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the cycle before he won, that the presidential election cycle before, he'd been running. He was actually here in Las Vegas on the day he dropped out. And a friend of mine who was, I think, a CNN reporter said, hey, Trump has to make a decision today because NBC's putting the screws to him. He either has to come back for another season of The Apprentice and drop out, or he's going to really run. And I got word because he was speaking to the Republican group here in town, the Women's Republican group, and he dropped the F-bomb 3 times. And I thought, he's dropping out. So he dropped out. So when he announced again in 2016, I was cautiously, because he'd run for governor. He was running for, there's a lot people don't know about his political aspirations because he was going to run for governor in New York. He basically been in 2 presidential election cycles before that. So when he did it this time, I was like, oh, okay. This seems a little more organized. It seems a little bigger. He's getting a lot more attention, all this kind of stuff. And I think, okay, good. And then he made the John McCain comments. And I thought, well, that was a good 2.5 months because I thought it was over. And then when his numbers started going up, I thought, oh, this is counterintuitive. This doesn't make sense. He belittled and degraded a U.S. war hero, but his numbers are going up. And that's when I thought, oh, this is different. This is different. And then from there, his numbers consistently went up. And that's, I'd say by the end of the summer of 2015, by then I was already on Fox. I was working on Fox with my friend Tom Shalhoub, who had taken over for Greg Gutfeld. He was now the host of Red Eye. And Tom literally came in the week. And I've been doing comedy in New York, stand-up comedy and theater with Tom since the early 90s. So the timing was incredible. And then somebody saw me on Red Eye, and I got a call from Conan's people. And then I really joined Conan. So I made 52 appearances on Conan as Trump. So like everything started coming together and taking off. And then at a certain point where we saw the bookings really coming in, my agent was like, oh my God, what the hell is happening? That's when I thought, this is it. He's not going to drop out. And then there were bumps along the road, and obviously the Access Hollywood tape. But the guy is like, I mean, they say Teflon Don, but geez, like, you know, I remember Gary Hart had to leave the run because there was a photo of a girl with him on his lap. I mean, like, and nothing seemed to take Trump down, which was really amazing, and just kind of and gave me more material, obviously.
So yeah, and it obviously worked well for you, and it's still working for you because you are the leading Trump impersonator out there. I want to talk about brand integrity,
right?
Okay, that brand identifier that says that brand does this, and you hit on it, and I want to try and see how we can discover what it is so other people can work on it. But you're right, you know, Trump, being any other person in the planet, would not have got where he got. Nope. You know, you talked about the Access Hollywood. You talked about the comments to a war vet. Every time he said something that was ridiculously stupid, rude, derogatory, it seemed to just add to his demand. What was it that you feel made people gravitate to this character, even though what he was saying was so out of whack, and that no one else in the planet would have been able to repeat or replicate?
Well, I think, I think there's part of us, there's part of humans, American humans, who want to be a certain way and act a certain way and, just be a certain person, the person you are in church, so to speak. But I think we all know what's going on in life, and we know how things operate. And every politician prior to him was the person you'd find in church, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. And he was the first guy to no. When they talked about, Putin's a killer. Hey, we've killed a lot of people. But
yeah,
is that a truism? If it is, and he was the first guy who said it, he just kind of tore the lid off. He's what he has is this brand of locker room honesty, the way things are really done. You know what I mean? I worked at all three of his casinos in Atlantic City. You know how Atlantic City works. You know how New York works. He has to deal with certain people. It's not, you know what it is? If you watch the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, there's an amazing scene where the guy in the business class is explaining how business is done. This guy's an academic. And then Rodney stands up and says, what are you talking about? This is how a building gets built. You got to grease this guy. You got to grease this guy. And the fact of the matter is, that's the truth. There are political players, and there are power players, and there are people who want their piece. It's great to sit in class at a major university and find out how a building is built in a town. But the fact of the matter is, that's not how it really is. So I think that's his quality of saying, hey, this is how it really is. You know what I mean? And the Access Hollywood thing just fortified it in a way. This is how it goes. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was. So, okay. So I don't want to dwell on politics, but I'm loving your insight into here. Are there any characters out there at the moment that you've gone, my God, I want to lock and load on that person?
It's funny. The thing is, and I hate that we keep coming back to Trump, but he's literally sucked the air out of the room, because he's just so, that scene where he shouldered, I don't know who somebody.
Yeah, I do remember.
He's doing that every day. He is at the front of the news. And also, we live in a time with, 10 different streaming platforms and all of the social media, which is becoming entertainment, and linear television, practically no one watches it. So, I come from a time, I'm 60 years old, and most of my life up through the 80s, it was 3 networks and 2 UHF channels here in the US, and stars emerged all the time. But now it's very hard to break through, especially with fractionalized entertainment, and certain people just watching Hulu, and certain people watching Amazon, or people who just watch ESPN, or people who just watch Fox News as opposed to So the world has gotten smaller, but also there's no breakthrough personalities like there used to be. Jimmy Cagney and Humphrey Bogart and Jimmy Stewart and all these people were universal and everyone knew them around the world. But unfortunately, we live in this weird time where you've got very few big Hollywood stars that are imitatable. Tom Cruise is my exact same age, but I wouldn't, other than the laugh, I wouldn't even know how to approach the guy doing his voice, so I'm always looking for anyone that I can physically take on and take on the voice. And, I'm walking around the house and, all these different voices, and a lot of them people probably don't know, younger audiences don't know. So, but at least corporate audiences do.
I'm a great believer that who has your attention has your business.
Yeah.
And attention has got nothing to do with talent or being gifted. We've all walked through, especially in New York, you've walked through Madison, you've walked through the tube stations, you've walked through past a bus stop, and there's a busker there belting it out and incredibly talented, playing 4 different instruments and drums with his toe. He's never going to get a number 1 hit, yet tons of other people to go up there that skimpy little outfits, maybe say something rude, get $1 billion contract. So we're in an attention currency now.
Yes, and that's great. That's perfect. Yeah.
We keep coming back to the fact that Trump knows how, and it's almost a masterclass on how to keep your attention.
Yes.
So when you're actually imitating and you're doing the Austin Powers and you're doing the Trumps and your other groups you're doing, the Dr. Phils, it's all about, okay, what are they doing that grab that attention? If someone was out there and they're not going to be an impersonator, but they want to know, how do I get someone's attention in the room? Have you noticed any traits within all these names that have them capable to grab somebody's attention while someone else can't?
Well, it's interesting because if you look at the ones you just named, there's this total authenticity. Even though Austin Powers is a fictitious character, there's this amazing authenticity to him. And Dr. Phil too, because Dr. Phil's going to get in your face. He could have come on 20 years ago and the show could have went like this, but he was constantly popping up in our pop culture because he was very authentic. He's going to tell you how it is. He may be wrong, but he was just so there. And one of the things I loved about Austin Powers, and I've had the opportunity to do it all over the world. Thank you, Mike Myers. But here's a character. I'll be on a trade show floor in France or England or, here in the US, and 50 yards away, someone sees the character and like, oh my God, Austin Powers. And it's like, he's just so happy to see you. Like, oh my God, baby, you look smashing. So there's that connection. Like, Trump has this ability to connect one-on-one with people. Dr. Phil has it. It's this authenticity, it's this connectiveness, and even in a silly way, Austin's always like, I'm so horny, baby, yeah. But there's an honesty to that. Like, every guy would love to say the things that he says. You can't. Propriety doesn't allow you that. But people like Dr. Phil and Trump, they get away with those types of things. And I think people want to say things. They don't want the backlash, but they want to be able to talk. They want to talk. And I'm not talking, I just want to say people want to be more honest. And I think there's a level of not being able to be as honest as you want to be because you're scared, And I think these I say character, but they provide an outlet for people, that somebody gets in your face. Hey, I want you to, get your ass in gear. You have parents who won't say that to their own kids. So they become like an outlet and a steam valve. And like, I want to be like that, So,
so where can people find you, follow you, and get more information on you?
Well, I'm on TikTok, The Johnny D Show. I have 6 million followers. And I'm leaving right after we do this. I'm going to LA. I'm going to a house in LA. And a bunch of TikTokers are getting together to raise money for the American Heart Association. Each of us are going to be, I think there's 10 of us in the house. It's going to be crazy. But find me on TikTok, The Johnny D Show. Find me on YouTube, John Di Domenico. Find me on Facebook, John Di Domenico Comedy. It's some iteration of The Johnny D Show or John Di Domenico Comedy. Wasn't able to get it branded across all platforms due to some other guy who, sells trucks and has my name. So,
well, we'll put those links in beneath here and in the show notes. But John, thank you very much for giving your insight. Thank you very much for giving us your smiles. Your energy's been brilliant. I look forward to hanging out with you again in the future.
Oh, Steve, thank you so much. I feel the same way. I'm so glad Travis Chappelle brought us together. Thank you, Travis.
Yeah, let's see if that show ever makes the airwaves, because that was quite an interesting night, wasn't it?
Hey, the food, the venue, the drinks,
everything was good. And then the game at the end that we'll never ever get any airtime. Yeah. All right, John, look after yourself. Until our paths cross again, look after yourself.
See you, man.
Bye. There you go. How was that? So I met John and I really liked the way he actually goes over the character. Now, why did I have him on an AMA? Very simply because, are you a character? Could you be replicated, or are you too freaking vanilla to stand out? All right, that's an important thing to think about. Are you too bland to really be identified? Today, we talk about brands. Today, we talk about reputation, which quite simply is just another word for brand. What does yours say about you? Okay, he's just told you how Trump walks into the room and sucks it. You don't have to agree with him, whatever. But he's got your attention. And as I said during that interview, who's got your attention has got your business. Hey, I hope you liked that episode of the Art of Making Things Happen podcast. And remember, these are done for you. If you like them, subscribe, share them around. But if you don't like them, send me an email to ask@stevedsims.com and you can tell me what I need to do to make this the most dynamic podcast you listen to. Anyway, make sure whatever you learned from the last podcast, you actually do something with. Without action, it's just a bunch of people blowing air. Have a good time. Until next time. Bye.